your coffee because this is probably gonna be one of the most or the most juiciest story time your girl has dropped on her channel. That's all I'm gonna say about that. Hello gorgeous, welcome back to my channel, or hello if you're new, and if you are new, it would mean so much if you guys hit the subscribe button and join the YouTube family, because I do upload every single week. I have no idea what I'm gonna call this video, but as you guys can see by the title, I came up with something, but this is one of the craziest things that have ever happened to my friend and I, and it was a crazy story and a time in life, let me tell you. This happened so long ago, and if you guys are true OG subscribers, you might have heard of this story before because I said it years and years ago, but I kind of didn't go in all of the detail because I was a little bit nervous, not gonna lie, when uploading it. So I wanted to do another story time and just retelling the story and going more into detail about this time, because I feel like a lot of you guys never heard about this story. So if you guys want to keep hearing it, definitely keep listening to it all the way to the end because it gets real juicy and a lot of tea is spilled. If you guys didn't know, I have a whole story time playlist, so I will link it down below for you guys to go check it out. I have a ton of dating horror stories in that and just my dating fails and crazy story time. So if you guys want to be entertained, then definitely check that playlist out. But today is gonna be the time that my best friend and I were hit on by NBA players, and my best friend actually went on to date one of them for a short bit, and a lot of drama ensued. You know I'll be the first one there if anyone plays with my friend's heart. You gotta deal with me. If you guys aren't already, also follow me on my Instagram at NICOLETTAXO. And on that note, let's just jump right into the story. This is gonna date years and years back, so that is why I don't mind sharing this story anymore, because this happened so long ago now. And I was still in university. I would believe I was anywhere between 20 to 21, but I know it was of course sometime during my university days. And like I've said in other story times, those were the days and those were the crazy days. A lot of crazy things happened during those 4 years, and I met a lot of different people. I'm gonna bring this all the way back and tell you how this first off all began. Just so happened my best friend's birthday fell during one of the weekdays, and we just decided that on her birthday we wanted to get all ready and go to one of the clubs to celebrate it. Usually we would have like, you know, birthday parties, but we would have them more on the weekend, and we wanted to celebrate the day was actually her birthday. So we decided to get all dressed up and we went to Belogue, and it is a club on King Street, I believe. I don't even know if that club still exists, but we decided to head out to that club for the night. So we got all ready and we were celebrating my best friend's birthday, and it was just her and I. We just wanted to do a little girls' night, just the two of us. We would do that a lot. Honestly, some of the best and most fun moments were just going with just a couple girls, or just going with your best friend and going out together. Those are the craziest times, and honestly, this is one of those crazy times that we just will never forget. So we're all ready and we grab a taxi to go to the club. That's when you know this was a long time ago, because I don't really think Uber was that big of a thing back then. So we really took taxis. It was a thing. We jumped into a taxi and we head to the nightclub. So when we're going there, we don't expect anything. We just think it's gonna be a regular night. And my best friend and I are just inside of the club and we're like having fun. We're dancing, we're getting some drinks, and we're just celebrating her birthday. All of a sudden, I just remember her and I got separated for some reason for like literally a short bit. I just remember I was like on my own, and then she was on her own, and I was kind of like looking for her. And while I'm looking for her, in walks in this group of men. Back then, especially in university, I was not one to know anything about sports. Like I did not watch hockey, I did not watch football or basketball. So your girl was clueless about anyone. So when these men walked in, I knew that they weren't just normal men because of the fact of their height. They were all literally like 6'10" to like 7 feet. And from a girl that's 5'2", I was like, you know, like this compared to them. And I'm just like kind of looking for my friend. All of a sudden I hear these people around me. They're like, oh my God, the Raptors players are here. So I'm from Toronto and that is our basketball team. And it's a funny story because I never watched the Raptors for years during that time especially, so I couldn't tell you who was on the team. And it's funny because just last year I started getting into watching the Raptors, and it was because my other best friend actually kind of got me into it. We got invited to go watch the game with her and her boyfriend, a few people, and then I really started getting into it, and then I started watching every single game, and we ended up winning the championship. I guess that was a good season for me to start on because the Raptors finally won, and I was so into it last year, I have to say. But rewinding it all the way back to university, your girl had no idea which Raptor player was on the team or what the basketball stats were because I did not know anything. So I'm trying to find my friend and tell her like the Raptors are here. And when I go up to my friend, she's already talking to one of the Raptors players. I wish I was there to see it, but my friend just saw this person, which we shall call him Will, and she just was so interested in him. She thought he was really cute. He saw her and went up to her and talked to her. So another Raptors player comes up to me. I get invited to go into their booth, so I'm just kind of there and I'm sitting next to this other Raptors player. So we shall call him Paul. So Paul just looks at me. I'm just like, hey, I'm Nicoletta, what's your name? And this person's like, my name's Paul. And I remember I could not hear him to save the life of me because it was so loud with the music. So I'm just like, sorry, what's your name? And he's like, my name's Paul. And honestly, I'm not joking you, I didn't even hear him that other time. And I just remember like, oh, nice to meet you. I'm not gonna ask him again what his name is. So let's just pretend I heard what he said. Does anyone do that? Because that was me. Come to find out that this Paul person actually was kind of a big deal at the time on the team. He was one of the better players, I guess, or did pretty well in basketball. And for all I knew, I had no idea who this person was. I'm just kind of talking to him. He's talking to me, being a little bit flirty, and we're kind of going back and forth, and I'm kind of just hanging out with all of them, and my friend's just like really interested in talking to this Will person. She thinks he's so cute, and he's like really into her and like talking to her constantly and really wanting to get to know her. They knew that it was my friend's birthday after because she was saying it was her birthday, and it was just overall a really fun night. Paul, who was talking with me, was actually really nice, but to be completely honest, I wasn't really interested in him. I feel like they were trying to push it so that I was with Paul and my friend was with Will, but I kind of just saw him more as a friend, and he was super nice and everything, but I just wasn't that interested in him in that kind of way. So it's starting to get a little bit later. I guess Will asked if we wanted to go hang out back at their place and get food and just continue the after party, which thinking back now, that probably wasn't the smartest decision of us, but we weren't really thinking. We were kind of like, yeah, let's continue the party. We both look back at this and we just think like this was probably not the smartest idea to do. But you know what? You don't really think of this, the consequences. Be a little bit more cautious. Maybe don't be 20-year-old Nicoletta, not really thinking about anything other than, yeah, let's go have some fun. Yeah, let's continue the party. We go back to this person's place, and it's a condo, and he lives in this really nice condo in downtown Toronto. And I remember we leave Bloke, and all of a sudden this crazy sports car drives up, and we jump into this random sports car. I remember it was probably the nicest car I've ever stepped a foot in, and we drive back to this condo. This condo, I guess, was a place where a lot of the Raptors players live at during the time. Both these people were originally American. They're not Canadian, but they were playing for the Raptors at the time. They are no longer playing on the Raptors, so don't even try to be detectives. And that is why, you know, I am doing this video years and years later. We go back to the place, and my friend's just kind of like texting me back and forth and telling him that she's really interested in him, and he's being really flirty and nice with her. And I kind of, you know, at first was like, this is, you know, a little bit weird. They're these big like NBA players, like this is so random, but I'm just like, you know what, whatever, have fun, like talk to him, we'll hang out for a little bit, but then we'll go home. So we're kind of just there and hanging out at this place. And I remember taking off my shoes, and I was honestly the shortest thing compared to them. And I remember Paul just kind of jokingly making fun because I was so short compared to both of them, especially Will, because Will was extremely tall. It was like abnormally tall, and we're all just kind of hanging out and having fun. It was a little awkward because I wasn't really interested in Paul, and Paul was kind of being a little bit flirty, but I was kind of like, no, thank you, we'll be friends. But he, I think, kind of caught on the vibe and was super nice. He ended up taking my number, so he went on my phone and put his number into my phone. And I remember it was really funny. I still at this point didn't know his name, and I thought it was too late into the game for me to ask him, so wait, what's your name again? So when he put his name into my phone and his number, I was like, oh, okay, I know his name now. Do you guys ever do that? That happens to me so many times where you don't know someone's name, but you don't want to ask because it's way too awkward to go back now and ask what their name is because you've already been talking to them, and it would just be really awkward. But that was me. The night went really well, I guess. My friend was way more interested in Will than I was with Paul, and she definitely wanted to pursue something because he was like, oh, like, let's go get something to eat next time. He gave her his number, and we ended up going back to my friend's condo, and it literally felt like it was a dream. That was just the randomest night ever. I remember we went back to her condo and slept, and then we woke up and we were like, what just happened? And I remember telling a couple of my friends, I met Paul and a bunch of the Raptors, and all my guy friends were like freaking out, and they were just like, do you know who you were talking to? And I'm like, no. All my guy friends were low-key fangirling and low-key jealous. I remember I talked a little bit with Paul after. He texted me the next day and kind of asked how my night was, but that kind of ended it between him and I. Like, nothing really went on more. Like I said, I wasn't really interested in him. It did not finish with my best friend and Will. And I gotta tell you guys this because you need to watch out, because some of these sports guys I noticed aren't the most faithful. So you guys need to stay tuned for all the tea spilling. My friend just keeps talking to Will, and they constantly are texting back and forth. They're talking on the phone. They ended up going out on a few dates. He took her out for food. I kind of got an off vibe. He just kind of seemed a little bit sketchy. He sometimes was a little bit hot and cold with my friend, and she was just really interested in him. And you know, when you're really interested in someone, you kind of miss red flags. I have totally been there, as you guys can tell by my story times, but when it comes to an outside perspective and a friend, they're more likely to see the little red flags that you miss because you're interested in someone, you like someone, and you always want to hope for the best and not see the worst in someone. But I kind of just got this weird vibe because he was sometimes so hot and cold, and sometimes he didn't treat my friend the best. So the last time they ended up actually hanging out, they got Chinese food in. So she went back to his condo and they were hanging out. He ordered Chinese food for them, and the door rang. The Chinese food arrived. Will asked my friend to go get the door and get the food, and my friend's just like, no, you go get it. And he kind of was annoyed by that, and he went to the front of the door and put on a mask to cover his face, opened the door, took the food, and closed the door. And my friend was kind of weirded out, like, why are you wearing a mask? And it was a full-blown weird mask. And he's like, oh, I don't want people to know I'm a Raptors and I live here. And it was just kind of weird because, to be honest, I feel like nothing would have happened, and lots of Raptors players lived in that building, and it's not like he was the star player of the team for people to really care that much. No shade, but it's just reality. I just like thought that was really weird, and I remember her telling me that, and he was acting a little bit strange. Being the best friend that I was like, no, we need to see what's up because there's definitely something wrong with this person. I randomly decided to Google this person because, you know, this person's a Raptors player, so you're definitely gonna be able to Google him. I never thought I would have to Google someone, but here I was Googling a guy for my friend because, you know, we gotta do friend duties. I was shocked with what I found. So when I'm searching up Will, the first thing that pops up is that Will is actually engaged and has a fiance. You heard me right, a fiance, a full-blown fiance. The first thing that pops up is like their wedding registry. I'm just like, No. He ended up following my friend and I and same with Paul on our Instagram. On his Instagram, it had no pictures of females. It really was just his basketball stuff. And a lot of the time celebrities do that kind of thing, or like athletes do that thing where it's more professional, their Instagram. It's not really personal photos. It's just more their photos doing their acting stuff or their sports. So that's what his Instagram was. Maybe he had photos with his fiance before, but he definitely didn't at the time of my friend and I meeting him. There was no photos in sight. And all of a sudden, when you Google him, she pops up. It shows everything about her. It shows their photos together, their engagement photos together. It shows everything. My memory card got full, so if anything changed, that is why. But where were we? Yes. When we caught that Will was the biggest player on the planet. Like I said, I did my research and I investigated and I found a lot. And of course I went ahead and called my friend up and told her everything. I don't know why he thought he could get away with this when he's such a public figure. Obviously all this stuff is going to be on the internet. There was nowhere that it specified that they were broken up or anything. So I just knew that they were together and he was engaged and he was a dirtbag. So I told my friend that and she was of course crushed and upset and sad. She was kind of didn't want to believe it, but deep down she knew that this was true. She ended up confronting him and asking him about his fiance, and of course he just went ahead to deny it and say that she's back home in the United States and we decided to break up and not be together. But my friend just knew that that was just a cop-out and an excuse, and he just seemed really flaky ever since that point. And it was just obvious he did have someone back home. Like I said, both of these Raptors players were originally from the United States and they were just living in Toronto because of their deal that they have with the Raptors. But actually not long after my friend confronted him, Will ended up getting traded to another team. So he was no longer going to be living in Canada and the team was in the United States. So he went back to the United States. He tried to get in contact with her and talk to her a little bit on and off when he did move back, but it really was just done just a few months down the line. He ended up getting married to his fiance that he said is no longer in his life and he doesn't talk to her. So it just confirmed that this guy never broke up with her, and they actually ended up going on to get married and have kids, and I believe they're still actually together now. That is pretty much what ended up happening and how we caught Will playing my friend. I know so many people that have this kind of story when dating someone in the public that's a public figure or an athlete or some sort of celebrity in a way. You gotta be careful because there's a lot of girls too that want to get to know them because of their status, and it's just a whole mess. I don't really know much about his wife. I don't like have any of her contact information, of course, and as well as I don't know if she knows anything. I have no idea what that whole situation is, and of course I'm sure he's had many girls through the time of him being in Toronto, and my friend wasn't just the only one. I'm sure there were many other people. It didn't seem like he was new to this. It's just crazy because I'm sure his whole team knew about his fiance and saw him so scummy all around. But you know, that stuff constantly happens, as you guys can tell in my story times. I've not only gotten cheated on, but my best friends have gotten cheated on, and it's just very common, unfortunately. So you gotta be careful and listen to your friends because they have your best interests at heart, and a lot of the times they can spot the red flags that you might be ignoring or kind of overlooking. That was my crazy time on the time we got hit on by NBA players, and then my friend ended up dating one of the NBA players for a few months there. Yeah, it kind of just doesn't feel like real. It kind of just seems like something that never happened, but it's crazy to look back on. If you guys want to hear any of my other crazy university stories, you can thumbs it up. Let me know any of your dating horror stories. Don't forget to follow me on my Instagram at NICOLETTAXO. I would love to talk to you guys on there, and of course don't forget to click the subscribe button because I do upload every single week. But on that note, I will catch you guys in my next video. Bye!